DDG episode 252. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, we're a week away from a stream. We're a week away from not E3. And it doesn't feel like those two things are true. I don't know about you. This is the weirdest console launch.
You told me, you said a week away from a stream, and then
yes,
a week away from not E3, but we're also a week. You just told me before we started recording, we're a week away from the Switch 2.
Yeah, it's the weirdest console launch, I feel like. And we had a console launch during the pandemic, and this feels weirder.
It's because it's Nintendo, though.
There's usually more hype. I feel like Nintendo's just done a disservice on getting like people excited. Especially the best looking game is Donkey Kong that comes out in July.
Right.
Like I don't feel like a lot of people are hyped for Mario Kart. I don't know. It seems weird.
Yeah, because I don't really think, other than that one direct they had, nobody really. It's kind of like getting into the. And it sounds crazy to say this because, like, I don't think I'd ever loop this together, but it kind of sounds like Mario Kart might be getting into the same lane as like Call of Duty and Destiny, and of these, like, how can you reinvent something that's 10, 15, 20, 25 years old? Like, it's a kart racer. Like, it's on four wheels or two wheels, and there's so many tracks. It's like in like open world.
I think we brought that up when they first announced it, of just like the last Mario Kart 8 Ultimate or whatever, they added so many maps via the expansion pass that it's just like, what do you do? Same thing why like I don't think we're going to get a Smash Brothers anytime soon. It's just like they just released a Smash Brothers with 72 or 80 characters.
Yeah, I was on vacation, and some of my nephews, like 20-year-old nephews or whatever, they brought their Switch and they were playing Smash Brothers, and I just looked at it and I was just like, I haven't played Smash in such a long time. No judgment. It looks like a fun game or whatever. But just the character select screen and the map select screen, I was it's my God. I was just like,
the amount of music in that game is crazy, because like every character comes with like a handful of songs, and it's bonkers. There's nowhere to go, and I feel like the same thing with Mario Kart, and then also Mario Kart being like an $80 game. Like, there's just not much excitement going for the Switch 2, and then people don't know what, like, I'm sure there's going to be some craziness, some hectic like shit going down on launch day.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that like next Friday, like Owen and I are gonna have a blast for like 2 hours playing Mario Kart. Like, when you just start playing it,
probably,
like, you're just gonna be like, I forgot how fun this game is. I forgot how colorful it is. I forgot how, like.
But I feel like if you
easy
load
to
up
play,
Mario
hard
Kart,
to master. Yeah, you can play
Switch.
Yeah,
you'll have 2 hours of fun.
Yeah,
and be like, I forgot how great this game was.
Yep.
I don't know. I still have it pre-ordered. I'm looking forward to putting Switch 1 games in it, because like I have the Mario Kart World bundle, but I'm not the biggest Mario Kart World fan.
Didn't read the article, but I thought I saw something on social media today that said Switch 2 will be doing something to GameCube games that Switch 1 cannot.
GameCube games, they're part of the expansion pass.
I know that, but I think that they're only gonna work on Switch 2?
Yes. That they're only for the Switch 2.
So, like,
which is an arbitrary bullshit thing. But
right. If you want to play Wind Waker, you have to have a Switch 2.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, it's gonna. But imagine, like, there's some people that they're gonna look at the launch lineup and be like, oh shit, I guess I'm playing the GameCube version of Wind Waker. Let's hope this emulator is pretty good on this new console.
It's probably gonna be the first thing Owen dives into, because he's heard me talk about it, and like, just in terms of how much of a Zelda
he's gonna look at you and say, old game is old, and you're gonna be
probably.
like, my son.
Yeah,
my son.
I'll be like, keep playing, boy.
Yeah. But Dave, we're Digital Days Gaming. Podcast.
We are talking video games this time. We're not talking random food or weather or anything like that. That was actually a gaming intro. But yes, we are Digital Days Gaming. We're a weekly podcast that posts typically on Thursday, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast services. It varies lately depending on what's going on in the world. Or if my wife forgets to edit. But you can also watch us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, or YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. I'm not going to tell you when we live stream on YouTube or Twitch. I'm just going to tell you to turn notifications on, so you know that when we go live, and you can come hang out, because it seems to be inconsistent whenever we are able to do that. And as we sit here and talk about this with Game Fest, Summer Game Fest next week, you're probably not going to hear from us for about 7 or 8 days longer, or gap. which is usually about what it is anyways. But maybe 9 or 10 days, because Summer Game Fest kicks off on June
6th, Friday.
the 6th. So more than likely, we're not going to be able to record until like the 8th or the 9th or something like that. My wife's giving me crap. And it's because she's watching live. So but we're going to wait. So, because like the news that we thankfully got today, it was helpful, because I got home from my trip yesterday and I was beat. So Michael was gracious enough to be like, hey, let's just wait a day. I forgot you were out of town for 5 days. And thankfully we did, because it actually added another bullet point, which is probably going to be easily 10-minute conversation between the two of us. But other than that, everything is linked in the show notes. You can join our Discord. You can follow us on social medias. All that stuff is linked in the show notes. Or you can check out digitaldaysgaming.com. And speaking of news, we're going to jump into it.
Yep. First news story is Oblivion Remaster was the best-selling game of April, according to Circana, formerly NPD. I feel like I'm always going to say formerly NPD,
you have
just
to,
because it's so ingrained. It's Kleenex, you know.
Yep.
It's just the thing we associate with. But yeah, so this does take into account physical sales and digital sales from the PlayStation, Nintendo eShop, Steam, and Xbox stores. They don't give specific numbers, but they do get this data from digital stores as well as physical stores. And Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, the remaster that came out in April, was number 1. Dave, we were talking about that this will chart, and I think when it came out, like I think the week after, we're like, yeah, this was a bigger deal than like I think you were expecting it to be, and just a little
sales
bit.
dollars. Yeah, it's like so we've always talked about the Game Pass function, the Game Pass metric. Like I don't even know what term to use right now, but you know, like the crowd that says Game Pass hurts sales. This is a statistic of not in your column. Like this showing that both can exist and both can work. This is on Game Pass. We know that there's, I would say, over, like I don't even know the number, but I mean I feel like I'm safe to say over 20 million on Game Pass, over 20 million subscribers.
No, I think they're around 30, and they've been around 30 for.
I'm lowballing the
across
number.
PC and Xbox.
Right, I'm lowballing the number. So there are over 20 million people that have access to this game, quote unquote, air quotes, for free. And then it's still like, and April was a light month, as I'm saying this also, like in terms of there wasn't like a major. This isn't going up against a PlayStation exclusive. This isn't going up against anything like crazy, a big third party title, like even like a Ubisoft Far Cry style game or anything like that. It's not going up against anything like that, but it's still won. Like it doesn't, you still finish a race first. Something with almost kind of having like one arm tied behind your back.
Yeah, I would imagine, like most of the sales obviously are coming from PlayStation and PC, because there's only like so many Xboxes out there. It's not a crazy large number. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't hurt it being on Game Pass. And this is, I'll just, throw it in now. So first off, Oblivion has outsold within the first 2 weeks more than the game originally did back then on the 360 in its first 15 months of release. That's a combination of game prices are kind of high, though I think this was cheaper technically, because I think it was a $50 release compared to like the $60 release.
What does outsold mean though? Out revenued or out united?
Yes, both, I believe.
So,
but it was only on 360 to start, I want to say.
Okay.
So it had an advantage. It's multi-platform.
Okay.
Or at least PlayStation wasn't a part of that at first. I want to say. I could be wrong now. It's been a while. So Oblivion just doing significantly number. I mean, the gaming market is just bigger on all three platforms, on PlayStation,
absolutely.
PC, and Xbox. So it did really well. This is probably why they're looking at some of their older releases like Gears of War, of like, hey, we can get Gears of War to jump up.
Your next 2 bullet points validate this point as well.
Yeah. So the other games to mention, Forza, I like a spell check was just like, I don't know what that means. So Forza Horizon 5 saw it hit number 2 on the sales charts. That is up from 42nd place on the best-selling sales charts. So Forza being released on PS5, shot that up to number 2. And you can assume that is just because the PlayStation sales, because if you're on Xbox, you Game Passed it. If you're on PC, you've had access to that game forever.
Or
so
you Game
this
Pass
is
it.
the PlayStation effect. And then Indiana Jones shot up from 118th place to 6th place because of its launch on the PS5. So Microsoft seeing these digital releases work really well, or these they have all been digital except Indiana Jones, but like they're seeing these re-releases on PlayStation pay dividends, and they are taking a lot of spots. Dave, if you pull up that chart from the article, there's a lot of Microsoft Corp.
But it's kind of proving that
chart.
Phil Spencer's right. Like it, like, I mean, yes, I understand he's the face of Xbox gaming, Microsoft gaming, whatever the hell you want to call it. But it's proving that he's right, that they, there's more in the gaming platform than just exclusivities. I know he flip-flopped on this over the last 10 years, or however long he's been in charge of Xbox.
He reluctantly is right. Like, he didn't want to be right on this because it meant Game Pass didn't succeed as well as he wanted it to.
Didn't succeed as well as he wanted it to in terms of getting people to join to buy Xbox's consoles.
Yeah.
But
he won either way, but the main talking point he had to tell the fan base is like, this will sell Xboxes. And then it just turned into like, actually, we just want to be in everyone's home any way we possibly can.
Right. And they're getting there. I mean, and PlayStation gets their credit, Xbox gets their credit. Like, so it's just interesting to see how this is going to go. And then, like the last bullet point you have in here is that tried and true revenue builder of MLB The Show, number 3, and Last of Us Part 2 jumping up 10 spots. The baseball season, April, like, fine. Like, like this is expected again. Not a heavy hitter month for April, so to be surprised that MLB The Show was number 3, nobody's surprised by that.
Yeah.
But showing
down from number 2.
Showing it has some roots. As an annual franchise, and then you'd have to assume that Last of Us is due to the television show. Like, you have to. Like, more people, more eyes. And I just realized now that I'm verbalizing this, I have not watched the last episode this week because I was out of town. But it's super interesting to see the waters like level out. Like, we saw a bunch of crazy stuff with Game Pass at the beginning. We saw him purchasing games like Outriders and a whole bunch of these big titles on day one, and then we saw that kind of level out where it's like, how long can it be sustained? Well, obviously not very long because they haven't been doing major things, but then we're also seeing the word of mouth and the social media movement around games to where I think I saw something today or yesterday. Expedition 33 sold 3.3 million copies in 33 days. Like, that's really good for this, almost like a roughly an independent studio, right?
Yeah, they're independent. Like, maybe the numbers on their staff is been in question, but it is an independent studio.
It's not a Mega, studio. It's not an EA, it's not a UB, it's not a PlayStation, it's not a Microsoft. It's
not 200 employees.
Yeah, and they sold 3.5 million copies of their game, and got Game Pass money.
The crazy part is, so Dave, I know you don't really pay attention to physical market. You can't buy the game in any stores because it's selling out so fast.
Yeah.
Like, they underprinted the game because they just weren't expecting, they thought most people were just going to go digital, and they've been having some really hard supplies to where now, like, VGP, which is like a Canadian distributor.
Yeah.
They tweet out every couple of weeks of like, hey, we have more copies of Expedition, hurry, and it sells out within a couple seconds.
That's
because
awesome.
It's just like, there's a crazy demand for the physical copy of that game.
This is going to kind of go in that, like, I feel like I can't really think of any like major sleeper hits that came out of something like that, but like Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, like stuff that kind of people are like, oh wow, like that's really good. And then I still feel like Expedition 33 is going to have some longer legs. I'm barely into it. I want to play much more of it. I was out of town the last 6 days. Did not take my ROG Ally with me on purpose. I just wanted to be present with my family. So there's a lot to be said about that, but the things I'm seeing on my social media from a few friends that I've had that are video game players for a long time, they're like, back to back, we didn't play Kingdom Come Deliverance. Is that what it is? 2?
Yeah.
Yep. And then Expedition 33 back to back. Like, these people are like, the rest of this year better step up because, Kingdom Come and I know Stefan and Sean Church are loving Kingdom Come, and then they're speaking, and like I know Sean specifically is speaking highly of Expedition 33.
Yeah,
So as
great
well
game.
as Johnny is a boy speaking highly of Expedition 33. You're into it. It's on my very short list, forgetting that the Switch 2 coming out. So and I still haven't touched Doom, like, and so like there's a play there to be, have of like there's some stuff to play, and this is a good time. It's just a matter of carving out the time. But I'd love to see companies succeeding in their game selling and getting their bags. Like, this is great. Like the to see the sales figures. They didn't say players. They said 3.3 million copies. So,
Yeah,
which is
they're
really
very
good.
clear about that, and they aren't in our April bestsellers because it came out towards the end of the month, and also this is Circana is only North America. So if in case anyone's wondering if why we'd mentioned Expedition 33 charting, it's because of that, and they've sold 3.3 million copies globally. So pretty well for them. I imagine they will be charting for May.
And we're just going to see
Circana
more
numbers.
Xbox stuff coming to PlayStation. Like, as you keep seeing Indiana Jones and Forza, and now I'm going to segue into the next story. Now Hellblade.
Yep, Hellblade 2 is getting a PS5 release. I put date, but it got a window of summer. It looks like it is going to be digital. They're going to do PS5 Pro enhancements. Those enhancements will come to PC and Xbox Series X. And the game will also get a physical release via limited run games. It also sounds like Hellblade 1 is going to get a limited run Switch release, which I'm going to be curious about that. I'm imagining it's going to be Switch 2, not Switch 1, just because of hardware. But no specific release date or price has been shared, though Xbox has been pricing most of these releases at $50. So
Mhm.
hopefully it stays in line with that.
Yeah, I mean, why not at this point in time? You got your, if somebody really, really wanted to play Hellblade at launch, they either have a PC or they got an Xbox or they somehow got Game Pass. And you got those early adopters, and now you just kind of get to go after everybody else. And I don't, at this present time, like I don't see anything wrong with it, and the data supports it. Like, so
Probably be in the top 15. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see it jumping to like number 1, 2, or 3, but I can see it like getting a bottom half of the top 10 for releases for Hellblade. And then a physical release will be nice for someone like me who just wants physical copies of everything.
Yeah.
But it will work out for them. And then Microsoft, if Hellblade is August, and then they also have Gears of War in August, because I know Gears of War is coming in August, I believe. So they can release two physical, or not physical, they can just release two Xbox games on PlayStations, chart pretty well, and it kind of buys them time for their next big release.
Mm-hmm.
That's consistency. They have this back catalog to work with. They might as well take advantage of it, especially when you're talking about like hardware being pretty similar. So you imagine porting Forza, porting Gears, porting Hellblade isn't too crazy of a task for these teams.
I mean, something came up in one of the Discords I'm in, talking about like comparing generations and length of games and the game development and who's producing what. And it kind of like you can have this conversation about the chicken before the egg before the chicken, all this stuff. Do you I guess ultimately, Michael, do you prefer quality or quantity? When you're looking at something, would you want one or two more average Kingdom Hearts games, or do you want to wait 10 years to play one great Kingdom Hearts game?
Picking Kingdom Hearts is a very tricky
Right.
one. It's one of those things where I would rather just get kind of content
Right.
back to the glory days of Kingdom Hearts. But when we're talking about like, when it comes to Xbox, I feel like they've struggled so hard that I'm just like, you know what, just release something that's really good for once. Release something that's really amazing. But then on the PlayStation end, I'm like, please just release something now.
It's weird.
Like, I don't care if it's a shorter experience. I don't care if it's like a 7. Like, I don't want to wait too long for a 10. Like, so it fluctuates from company to company.
Right. I mean, we got.
Not every company's Nintendo.
Right. We've talked about it before. But we got Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on the PS3 generation.
Mm-hmm.
And now then PS4 and PS5, we've got Uncharted 4 only. Well, and Lost Legacy, or the other ones. The collection, not the collection, but the other game, Lost Legacy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lost Legacy. You had
Yeah.
the Nathan Drake collection.
Right.
You had
I don't count the
Uncharted
Nathan Drake
4.
collection. I just Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4. And
Yep.
no Uncharted on 5, PS5. New.
No new Uncharted.
Yeah.
And then you're forgetting about like there was like a PSP Uncharted card game. There was like that
Yeah.
weird like motion comic Uncharted thing that you could download. There
We
was
had
also
Golden
a
Abyss
Vita
on
game.
Golden Abyss on the Vita. And that
I know it's multiple studios, but like if you liked Uncharted, you
Right.
fucking had options and you had content.
Yeah, and then now with we've gotten Last of Us. We got a couple remasters, but hell, Last of Us Part 2 was on PS4, right? Originally,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
So
it was the last major release on PS4.
so it's we've to your point, it's almost 2026. It's halfway through 2025, and PS5 came out in 2020. So now we're going to be at least 6 years into a cycle, and we don't have a Naughty Dog I don't even know, like the standalone game on PS5.
Oh, and we've had 2 new Insomniac games
Right.
On PS5.
Right.
and
It's just
not
it's
including
super
remasters.
interesting, and Ghost of Tsushima was on PS4 also, right?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah,
First one
so
was
now
on-
we're going
and we're gonna
6 years, 6.5, and 6 years, like a full 6 years almost, then to get a Sucker Punch game on this console. Like it's just weird. And then like the counter to it is like we saw Indiana Jones and we've seen Doom, and I understand they purchased these. Like
that's the big thing we always
Yeah.
have to bring up. It's
Yeah.
just like the ones that are producing for Microsoft are the ones that they did not have any hand in forming
Right.
or like budgeting.
But at the other hand,
Let's
the
not
ones
talk about
that the ones
initiative.
right, the other hand, the ones that Sony's had longevity, strong foundations, now are like, okay, go bigger, 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 boom, dead. Like we never see it.
I'm hoping, because PlayStation obviously is seeing, the money that Microsoft is making on their platforms. I'm not saying PlayStation should go multi-platform. I'm saying PlayStation should be like, man, so
Bite
that
size,
remake of
bite
Oblivion,
smaller, yeah. Okay,
like
yeah,
we have games we could just remake that aren't just The Last of Us. Because I'm sure they're already thinking of like, man, we could remake The Last of Us on the PS6. This is going to be great. Like, I don't need another remake of The Last of Us, but there are some other games they could go back to.
If you really, yeah,
I would.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I would love for like a Blue Point to go like, you know what, The Last Guardian was a great game, but technically it was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
What if we go? What if we take that on? Like, what if we, take on some of these earlier?
Well, how about like what if
PS3 games?
what if Blue Point started cleaning up Uncharted 1 even?
I mean, they already did it again. I would want them to stay away from having to remake.
No, I know,
or
but I
remake.
mean, but I still felt like in that collection, the Nathan Drake collection, like the grenade throwing and the shooting still felt a little off. Like in terms of like cleaning up the gameplay, like potentially building the stuff, or even like Notorious Bud saying like, do you want to see Killzone 1 again or Killzone 2 campaign?
That's what I
up?
mean. Like,
Yeah.
go back to that. Like, we don't know what people can fly are working on, but like, if you're PlayStation and you're seeing this easy money that Microsoft's able to produce, you have to start looking at some of your other games that you've neglected and be like, hey, actually, it wouldn't be too much to remake a Resistance 1, which Resistance 1 would need a lot of work.
Infamous. Like,
yeah, I would love to go back to Infamous. As someone who still plays their PS3 from time to time, I tried loading Infamous 1 again, and I'm like, man, I'm just going to skip the Infamous 2.
yeah.
Just because the Infamous 1 just looks rough.
It just needs a little bit of polish, a little bit more cleaning up. Like, just kind of like, hell, I don't even know if it sounds like, I mean, I'm not a video game developer. Like, open the code in PS5 and see what it does. Like, what, upload it into the PS5 engine or whatever you're using and see, like, because we heard about that with the PS4 Pro when, like, some developers stuck the disc into the PS4 Pro and, like, oh. Like,
yeah, I mean, there is like stuff. I mean, like the DLLS stuff. Like, there's like different things you can do to like do the super sampling to like kind of bring up resolutions. But there are stuff that would be interesting to just have a team put in the work of just like, hey, Resistance was a cool concept, but like the first game isn't all the way there. Maybe look again at like the Ratchet and Clank collection of all those, PS2 games that were remade. Like, why don't we have a Ratchet and Clank best of PS3 collection? You know, like let's look at the Jack and Dexter games again. There's so many different things that they can go to
Sly
and
Cooper.
be like, hey, let's just bang out a remaster. Why our big studios are busy developing a stuff like we just it's not in the news, but like we saw our Naughty Dog's been kind of going around being like, we have a third game in development, and it's like, motherfuckers, produce one.
Yeah.
Just get us one. Don't talk about your third one already when we only have one announced and it's still like 2 years away.
What's their second one?
I don't know. It's like
Interstellar.
Interstellar, and then there is they did say like they're working on potentially a Last of Us like script for the third one, and then Neil Druckmann said like he's basically like co-directing or producing a game that's going to be done by another like directed by someone else. So like there's potentially like 3 projects going on in Naughty Dog.
It's Interstellar, it's Last of Us, it's Uncharted. Like that's what it is.
No, it's apparently like a new thing.
I don't believe it.
I don't either, because Interstellar, I'd imagine, is a new IP. But if you have Naughty Dog working on like, you know, potentially 2 or 3 things, it's like, let's just get Interstellar out, or whatever it's called. What is it called?
Intergalactic, Interstellar.
Intergalactic. There we go. There's so many things that they could do. I mean, I forgot Days Gone was remastered. So there's things that they are doing remasters, but they're kind of picking the wrong ones. Because that came out, I think, Days Gone remastered.
I think so. The PC version is,
hold on, I gotta look. That came out like last month for the PS5, and I don't think anyone's really talked about it, right? Did that come out?
Yeah, I think so.
Am I crazy? Hold on. I gotta look this up now, because I'm like, am I fucking crazy?
April 25th, yeah.
April 25th, yeah. There have been people that have gone back to it and be like, hey, actually, this is an underrated kind of game. Cool, but it's not. It felt too soon to like try and like get another.
Yeah.
Like go at Days Gone. There's so many things that they could be doing in their back catalog.
All they're doing is making the people that enjoyed it go, see, there should have been more.
Yeah, and then do nothing with them.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so many different things. There's so many RPGs they have in their back catalog. Give me White Knight Chronicles 1 and 2 remastered.
But to be fair, I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder. PlayStation is going to be at Summer Game Fest.
Cool. 3 or 4 of their studios had their games canceled. So like,
I know it's like, it's just, I'm just saying they're going to be there. And if you're going to say you're going to be there couple like 10 days, 2 weeks before, that should have something, right? I mean,
we'll probably see Wolverine.
Hopefully it's not Project Gummy Bears game. Like,
no, I feel like they can't anything vaguely associated with the Bungie. They just
I know. I agree.
I think maybe we get like at the most
like, another ghost trailer. Another ghost trailer. More
100%.
More Wolverine.
The least we'd get at the least we'll get a ghost trailer. The thing that I think would be amazing would be a Wolverine trailer with like a 2026
holiday 2026 window? Or whatever. Yeah.
I don't think we'll get like holiday or spring, or this year. But at least we'll get a holiday next year.
And then they might have something AA+ under their sleeve for the holiday.
I hope so. I hope so.
I don't know what that would be, but
I would love if Media Molecule were like, hey, actually, since they canceled Dreams 2 years ago, we've been doing like a small single player game.
Tearaway refolded, folded.
Yeah, I mean, the Tearaway sequel probably wouldn't take a ton of work to do. They have things that they could do. I just don't know what studio would be next up at this point.
I agree.
For them, except Insomniac, and Insomniac is the only studio I could think could like be like, hey, Wolverine's coming out next holiday. Also, here's the next Ratchet and Clank game, which will be out before Wolverine or something.
Yeah, or to your point, here's Ratchet and Clank Crack It Time and 2 other ones together for the holiday for $50 or whatever. Like,
I think that would do wonders.
I would buy it in a heartbeat. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
If they remastered like the PS3 games, I think there's 3 major PS3 games and like 2 smaller PS3 games. If they remade those PS3 games, that'd be kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna, but they could. They could also bust out Jack and Dexter. There's a lot of things that they could try doing that would make a lot of people happy. We'll just have to see. I think we do see Wolverine or something.
Yeah.
At Summer Game Fest. All right. Next story, the Nintendo Switch 2 apparently needs a mandatory update to function. So some people have found themselves with the Switch early, but they are unable to connect to any services or play any games due to the system requiring a system update that is unavailable at this time. Currently, it is unknown whether this is a precautionary measure to prevent people that get the Switch early from actually being able to use it, or if it's actually required at launch. So people haven't really been able to dig in if it's just like some timer thing on the Switch that's just going to make it like unplayable until launch, or if this is something that is like a required system update. So basically, people were super excited that they got a Switch 2 early, only to find out they have a brick that they can't do shit with, except go through the startup menu and kind of go around the UI, but there's really nothing else they can do.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if it requires a connection on launch day to get a little bit last piece of firmware to kind of have that like Windows unlock functionality to it. It's super interesting because this is speculation on my part, unless they got a special version, potentially means that there's no review units of this out.
That has been a big question in terms of just
not that I necessarily need hardware reviewed anymore, but
no, Nintendo I feel like would do the thing where they're like, hey, we don't really need to send out review copies, and also we want to make sure like the players can get units as opposed to having to pick and choose random streams. And also Nintendo doesn't really seem to fuck with influencers too much. So
but I mean, even IGN doing like an unboxing of the hardware, and this is what the controller feels like, and the textured grips are kind of cool. You know,
IGN probably does, like the big outlets probably do have.
But to be fair, Nintendo probably delivers them like a dev unit. Like it comes to them and has lunch and says, "Here you go." You know, like Kotaku. I mean, Kotaku's a bad example, but like other major outlets. You know, the Tom Warren guy in Europe that does a bunch of review. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. He's got a decent size. They works for a decent sized website that does really well with tech. There you go. Yeah. Or Digital Foundry, like probably like
Eurogamer, Digital Foundry, IGN.
There's probably like a dozen, maybe max, that I would say that would get it.
The usual like army of people that get stuff when PlayStation and Xbox releases stuff, probably aren't on that Switch list because they're just not needed to hype that stuff.
Somebody might be on a plane right now to Nintendo's headquarters getting ready to take something home that's already been like manually updated or whatever. So.
Yeah, and for the most part, again, Nintendo doesn't need influencers. It doesn't need reviews. It knows what it's going to sell,
right?
And they'll be fine without them. And then they can say like, hey, we just wanted like normal people, regular people to have this. We didn't really care of some live stream person getting this or some Twitter personality.
I like this though. Like I truly do like this of like, you don't get lucky and know somebody that knows somebody, or you work in a Target warehouse or a Walmart warehouse or an Amazon warehouse or something like that and just get your hands on one or something like that. I kind of like this of where like, I'm all for a relatively it doesn't exist, but I'm all for like a relatively level playing field, and that's kind of what I think Nintendo's trying to accomplish here. And kudos to them for it. So,
and it sounds like in terms of inventory, they are planning to have a lot of stores said like we are going to have like non-pre-ordered systems in stock on launch day. I think Best Buy said their midnight releases, they will have inventory available to people that didn't pre-order. Target says they're going to have inventory. There's actually a lot of pictures of Target just has them on the floor in like their big cages.
Which really?
Is kind of funny.
On the sales floor?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because they have like cages where they keep iPads and stuff. And apparently those are already filled with Switch 2s. It sounds like Nintendo did a really good job of making sure there is that supply for day one. Who knows how long that'll last? And I still think once that supply runs dry, that's when we're going to get a price increase.
Right.
And that's why I pre-ordered mine.
Yep.
I wanted to make sure I had it just in case the price increase. And hey, if the price doesn't increase, I doubt it's going to drop anytime soon either.
Right.
So,
That's never going to drop.
I picked it up here and I'll be fine with it. In other Switch 2 news, they said they've tested about 75% of the 15,000 Switch games that are available on the Switch 2, and 75% of them have no issues. So it seems like there's about only 170 games and apps that are not working on the Switch, and they're mostly just like streaming apps and a couple things like the Cardboard Labo game, the Ring Fit game, the spaces physical stuff that needs like the old Joy Cons that's not working, and then the streaming apps, which I forget that there's a lot of streaming apps on the Switch because I just don't use the Switch to stream anything. But yeah, I didn't realize that they had 15,000 games on the Switch. That is a crazy amount, which is why they said they only tested about 75% of them so far.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's always known. I think they should probably just trademark the term shovelware. So, but it's not always a bad thing. So, because I mean, you got a library of games that supports selling hardware. Like their tried and true message, reigns through.
Yeah, I do like they did get specific. It's just like, hey, there's 120 or 118 games that will have startup issues, and then there are 50 games that do start up, but there's in-game issues.
Johnny, I want
so
his
the fact that they
he wants his cardboard to work on a Switch too. Just cut it a little wider, just a little, just to give it little cuts on the end. So,
I mean, Nintendo could just send instructions to everybody of just like, you can turn your Switch 2 box into a Labo VR headset. They could do that, and that would be the most Nintendo thing for them to do. But yeah, Switch 2 comes out next week. We'll see how that goes. We'll jump into the next story. EA has canceled their Black Panther game and closed the studio that was making it. So EA have officially canceled their previously announced Black Panther game. As a result of the cancellation, the studio behind the game, Cliffhanger Games, will be shuttered, and EA will move some staff to other parts of EA and lay off the rest. EA did confirm during this that they are still working on the Iron Man game, and that is being worked on by their studio Motive. And yeah, they said they're going to refocus their efforts onto their own IPs and this Iron Man game and the Star Wars games at Respawn. EA did recently fire about 400 people across all their studios a couple weeks ago. So this is EA reshuffling and trying to figure out what they need to do next.
This sucks.
This sucks, yeah.
There's two sides of this coin for me. Jesus Christ, Johnny. This is why I don't like earnings calls. Because we found out about this probably way too early. You always heard rumblings, but everybody's like, "Oh, I had that game, would have been great." Like, you don't know. Like, you just don't know. And they never. Did they ever release a trailer?
No. We might have had some leaked concept art. I think. And that's about it.
But the internet was ablaze today, including my wife. She immediately thought this was the 1943 game.
I think that's part of the reason it got this kind of.
I'm sure it was like probably like, okay, we're not. We all know that developers talk, and they might have been like, "Hey, let me see your game." Like, okay, and like they're like, "Well, shit, we're not even close." Like, we're not even close, dude. Like,
I would imagine like EA is looking at the Black Panther stuff and is just like, all right, how much is this going to cost? How much are we playing Marvel? Oh, Marvel licensed Black Panther to another studio. Let's see if we can get out of it because they licensed Black Panther to someone else. But continue on with what you were saying about
it's just not fun. Like, this is not fun when you find out about this. We kind of, but at the same time, like we as a consumer, as fans, like we really shouldn't have had any business finding out about this. Is the game? I don't know. Like, this is the part that I struggle with, is like the journalistic aspect and the video game coverage aspect of it. Of like, oh, cool, it's cool to talk about. It's a good story for you and I to dialogue about. But this game was never really announced. So how is it really canceled?
So they did properly say they're making a Black Panther.
I know but I feel like my version of a game being announced is somebody standing on an EA stage or an EA event going, "Here you go," and points at the TV. Like, that's kind of where I feel like something is announced. It's just like, was GTA 6 ever delayed when it wasn't really dated?
Yeah, I would say though for this, when it comes to license stuff, this comes across to me same way where like Disney for a while would be like, we're releasing a movie July 23rd. We're releasing a movie November 6th. It's like, what movies? And like, we don't know yet. We
Yeah.
want to take these dates. I feel like EA had to announce the Black Panther game because Marvel was out here being
Yeah.
like, you get a Black Panther game, you get a Black
Yeah.
Panther game, you get a Black Panther game. And they were just like, hold on, let's stake our claim so
Yeah.
no one else tries to take Black Panther. And
But at the same
they
time, when Disney
gave up.
says that, at least Disney like 20 years ago says that, that's how we got Air Bud 2, another bounceroo. You know, in terms of like a movie, but at least they
that could
released
happen.
something. You know, like Disney could be like, and you're like, that's not what you thought. And then Disney goes, all we said was we were going to release a movie. We didn't say what movie.
They did let the devs kind of talk about like Black Panther, like, hey, it's going to be a third-person action game,
Yep.
open world. So they did kind of talk specifics, which means like some work must have been done.
That's
I think
just
this is
more of the coverage media in the 2020s now, though. I feel like
Mhm.
people like you and I could potentially get to GDC if we wanted to. Like if we really wanted to, we could have got to GDC and potentially heard some of these conversations, you know, or heard some of these presentations and had a conversation about it. Versus 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. Like that's, you know, stock calls and you know, people like listening on earnings calls and stuff like that. Like that is more common now than it used to be, and that's where some of this stuff comes from.
Yeah, some of it does come from the idea that when a game was talked about and announced, you already had a team fully staffed working on it, and now it seems like we get a lot of trailers and stuff that are just advertisement, not to the players,
To
but
workers,
to potential workers, because it's easier to just do that as opposed to like, okay, I'm going to interview Dave, I'm going to make him sign a shit ton of paperwork, and then I'm going to tell him what we're working on, and then he can say like, no, I don't want to do that.
And if you go back and watch some of those documentaries, like the Madden documentaries and these other documentaries, they were like, I was hired to work. I interviewed for a unknown game, and somebody's like, I had a great art book, and then I get hired and I accept the job, and they go, you're working on Madden. You're in charge of drawing the sidelines. They're like, I don't fucking want to do that. Like, you know,
and now because the market is so competitive, like they need to be like, hey, we're working on something cool that you love. Come, please.
And they
come
almost
work
have
for
to
us
say
and
what
apply.
it is. To your point of like, you want to have your thumbprint on a Marvel world, you know, like
Yeah. Do you like Black Panther? We're making a Black Panther game. Do you want us to fuck it up? No, you better come over here and help us then, so we don't fuck it up.
And even when you are here, we are going to fuck it up, and then we're going to fire you.
Basically, that's the EA way.
Yeah.
Is to set something on fire and be like, who set that on fire?
And I just feel like it's the, you know, it's the in thing to do now, like the Hey Dude version of the footwear. But like, oh, we're gonna cancel a game and close your studio. It just seems to be like we haven't had a studio closer in 90 days. Okay, who's up?
I almost feel like companies, to your point, are doing this where they're like, hey, we always need one studio to close because it makes shareholders happy. Like shareholders get a boner when people
look, we're
lose their
running our
job.
business properly. We got rid of the unproductiveness, and then the fans are like, I really wanted that. Like,
yeah, it's just a weird way this goes to where it's just like EA every year fires like 500 people, it seems. And, it's like,
and next
are
month they
out
hire
of-
250 more.
Yeah, but they only seem like they do it because they just want to make shareholders happy, because shareholders love a huge savings, and it's a really fucked up world we live in.
Yep.
I wonder though, like Marvel got paid for this no matter what. Like Marvel, you know, probably lost some residuals, you know, like percentages on the final copy, but to get the license alone, Marvel got paid off this. So
Yeah,
I
but
wonder,
didn't you say
like,
that EA is going to just do a tax write off as a investment failure or something?
probably.
Yeah,
They'd probably have to do it that
that's
way.
a terrible term, but like that's just like I don't really know what else to call it. Like
They probably will have to do that, and then Marvel doesn't lose anything. Like I saw some people being like, "Oh, EA, good luck, you know, getting another Marvel license." It's like, no, Marvel doesn't give a shit. They're gonna get free money if EA.
Do you think
comes
any of this is
around.
just clumped into this? And I guess we've always heard about the individual, like the Star Wars license and the Marvel license, but now that they're underneath the same umbrella, do you think any of this was like clumped in of like, hey, you know, like EA's like, hey, I know we said we were going to make 6 Star Wars games. Can we make 4 and do 2 other IPs? And then the Disney board's like, yeah, whatever. Here, take these 2 Marvel things. You know, like it's part of the original deal.
It could be, or they're just like, if we, you know, you want to do repeat business, if you want another Jedi game or Survivor game, your price just went up just a little bit because you lost us money by not actually releasing your Black Panther game. Because even if the Black Panther game was shit, if it sells 100 copies, then Marvel, Disney
Yeah.
get paid a little bit off of
But
that.
let's double clarify, like while we're talking, like this is not, I believe it's Sundance, right? This is not Sundance's Amy Hennig's,
This is not Marvel 1943,
right?
that
Which is the original, which is the Black Panther, Captain America, first player game or single player game.
correct. It is not that. This was a weird thing. Is like EA did make this announcement shortly after, or definitely around the same time as that game was announced, which was a little confusing. I'm sure if we go back to the episode, it'd be like, "Oh, it's weird that there's going to be 2 Black Panther
Yep.
games, even though they're
Not
like,
no
different."
more. And I think
Yeah,
probably if we go back and listen to that, one of us said one of these is not going to make it. So,
Yeah. Now I'm looking at like if you're Motive and you're just like one of those studios, you're a Jade Raymond studio, and you're just like, how are we still here?
yeah.
We have not really released anything.
Well, speaking to Jade Raymond, based on what you talked about last week, if she walks in any of these studios and I work there, I'm out. Like,
yeah, you're like, oh, you're like, good for you. You're gonna get paid. I'm gonna get laid off.
yeah, I'm gonna go find
Cool.
another job right now.
But I wonder if your Motive, if you're like, okay, they canceled a Black Panther game, unless this Iron Man game is actually really close, I
Yeah.
don't see how this game survives. Like, I would imagine this game must be closer than we think.
Yeah, and at a certain point in time, like, how far are we? I mean, it's popular. I mean, Marvel's popular. We know that, but like, how far away are we getting from? Like, it's been a while since, at least in this Marvel Cinematic world, where Iron Man's been around. Hell, he's being doppelganged into something else, the main character. Like,
It might actually work in their favor because you're gonna the Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics. It was really hard to look at that cast of characters and not think of the MCU characters. Maybe
Right.
there's going to be enough space from Iron Man that people aren't going to be like, why doesn't he look and sound like Robert Downey
yeah,
Jr.?
well, and the Robert Downey Jr. recasting of Doctor Doom helps, I think,
No, yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
because now the connectivity
it
of
would work
Downing
out.
to Doom is already happening.
Yeah, so this might work out. I do wonder, like, it would probably be in poor taste if at Summer Game Fest they're like, here's our first trailer for Iron Man. But I would imagine like the only reason Iron Man wasn't canceled too is because it just happens to be closer to release than what Black Panther was.
Well,
Black
wait,
Panther was announced like a year ago, 2 years ago. So I imagine it's not like super far. Iron Man, I think, was around the same time, but Motive really hasn't done anything in a while.
But EA hasn't
did they
confirmed
do-
any Summer Game Fest attendance, right?
Not
And not on,
look
not
at
on your
that
bullet
big
point.
picture.
Yeah, not on your bullet points. They're not there.
It's because EA is like not really great. EA is not notable for me anymore. But I'm looking at the thing. It's in alphabetical order. I do not see the EA logo.
Okay.
So yeah, EA is not listed there. So maybe
Sometimes
it's not
they've
gonna
done
be
their
there.
own thing, but by now we've already would have known. And like we'll get into it. We can jump right into a little bit of the Summer Game Fest, based on your news story here that the Game Fest partners have been announced. Summer Game Fest will kick off with a 2-hour stream next Friday. Announced their partners, which include PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, the latter of which skipped the last 2 years. Other partners of note include Square Enix, Capcom, Devolver Digital. Surprising they're not doing their own thing. Annapurna, 2K, CD Projekt Red, and more. So 2K, I expect Borderlands 4 and GTA 6.
And then the Mafia game comes out, I
Yep.
think, this summer.
CD Projekt Red will be
They should have some Cyberpunk stuff, and then The Witcher. They announced like 2-3 years ago that they're
Yeah.
making another Witcher, so we can get a teaser for The
Yeah.
Witcher.
I have no idea what Square Enix and Capcom are going to pull out of their pockets, but it'll probably be something cool.
Could be Kingdom Hearts. Most likely, it's going to be some Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I think the third game should be coming out within the next year or two, maybe 3 years.
I'm
So could be
surprised
something like that.
Annapurna's coming.
I put them on there specifically just because they lost most of their staff.
Yeah,
so
so
I
that's
just
a
want to
little
know
bit of
what
a
they're
surprise.
going to do.
Devolver Digital will just be Devolver Digital. They'll have something really, really cool, like I almost feel like a Messenger or Shovel Knight or something like that, and then they'll have something really, really, really weird.
Mhm. They'll get a sizzle. They'll do like their usual sizzle reel sort of thing, and it's like, oh, there's like 6 games in this thing, and all of them look great.
Yeah. So, but no, as of now, no news on a Ubisoft Forward style thing. Nintendo saying they're going to be there on the heels of the Switch 2. There's probably not going to be much. I don't expect a Nintendo Direct, even though we usually get one in mid-June. And then
There are rumors that there'll be one around a week after the Switch 2 launch for
okay,
Nintendo.
and then PlayStation. Like I don't. At this point in time, like I don't know. Like they. Like,
A Ghost trailer would be a layup
Yeah.
for them. Maybe we get another intergalactic thing. Death Stranding, I think, is still a partnership. No, that's with 505 Games. 505 Games will be there, so I think
Okay.
Death Stranding 2 will be there for that, and Kojima has to be there because it's
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley. Yeah, I think PlayStation will probably just be like, here's a Ghost trailer, and that's maybe one surprise. Maybe, God, who would be up? Like Santa Monica, right? Or,
Potentially.
right? Santa Monica would be the only one up. Like it's been
For
a while
their
since
non-God of War thing. Yeah, like whatever their non-God of War game would be.
It'll be funny if it's still a sci-fi space game, and it's just like, wait, Naughty Dog's doing one. And they're just like, yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah, I mean, without
we'll get the next from Housemark. We'll probably get another trailer for the Housemark game.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. It's fine.
You're like, fine, whatever. The Housemark game will fuck though. Like it's gonna play good, and it's gonna be like a cool visual thing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like, I mean, do we without EA's officially saying anything like you would hope that you would see some kind of teaser about Battlefield. Like their bread and butter. I feel like EA's money makers right now are college football, Madden, and FIFA or Football Club, not FIFA.
I mean, they said as much in their financial.
Yeah, I didn't even
thing of
listen
just
to it
like-
or read it. Like, but so those are kind of annualizations, and I'd be very curious to see like what, like.
So Sega's going to be there. There's rumors based off some of the voice actors that we'll get a Persona 4 remake like we got Persona 3. IO Interactive is going to be there, so maybe we actually see this 007 game that they just keep putting trailers and teasers for during like press events. So maybe we actually see some 007. I'm looking at this list right now. I mean, we can probably get more Yakuza stuff because they just seem to pump that out over at Sega. Bandai Namco has a bunch of different things that they're working on. Maybe Bandai Namco has licensed more PlayStation games that they can release. And then there's a lot of devs I just really never heard of that are on this list, or I've heard of, but I cannot associate anything to them.
And this is kind of what I'm talking about. So much stuff that we pay attention to, and so much stuff that I feel disconnected from. Like Johnny's the Boys in our YouTube chat. Apparently, there was a Battlefield closed alpha. I didn't know about it.
Yes, there's been a lot of Battlefield playtests. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
When we were talking about like the future of Battlefield.
But it's just like I didn't know that. I didn't see anything, and I've been pretty heavily. You used to be pretty heavy into the Battlefield stuff, but I feel very disconnected from that right now. So yeah, it'll just be super interesting. Like there's a part of me that wonders about like Unravel Studio that made those two, Unraveled and Unravel 2. Like they've got an EA partnership. Is it Unraveled? Is that what it's called? Or Yarny?
Yeah. Unraveled. Yarny is the character.
Right. Kind
What
of
is
like
that studio name? Jesus.
just kind of curious of like if they had their partnership with EA and everything like that, and like they would kind of be on that, hopefully on that dev cycle to see something else from them, potentially something new. These are just weird kind of just times for everybody, like, and hopefully something comes of it. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm tired of hearing newly formed studio creators of blah 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 blah. Like they try to make some like all-star team of studio stuff, and then we just find out 2 years later that they've just all been fired.
Anytime I hear like from the people that brought you Halo and Destiny, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm
but
tired
it's
of
also
hearing
gonna
that.
get you could dig through it like, oh, the former Mass Effect play team, and like, okay.
Yeah, no. But we have. You always hear the same. You always hear like from Riot, the creators of League of Legends, from the creators of Halo and Destiny and Blizzard. Insert Blizzard game here, and it's just, and then nothing really ever comes of these studios.
From the guy that drew the horn of a ogre in World of Warcraft, he formed his own studio. Like,
and the people are excited, like that was my favorite ogre. And
yeah,
it's just like, okay, cool, I guess, but no, I don't know. I'm looking at this list and like I try to get too excited about these. It's a 2-hour thing, but Keighley hasn't been hyping it up but he hasn't done the thing he's done the last couple years where he's just like, hey guys, there ain't gonna be shit here. Like he's been really good at like downplaying the events. He hasn't done that either. So I don't know where this is gonna end up going. But I do feel like I see a lot of like mobile-ish sounding studios and publishers in this partners list. But he says this is just round one. So hey, we might get another round of names tomorrow or later this week or next week. Hopefully we do, because this early list outside of like Xbox, we kind of know what they're doing. PlayStation, we don't know what they're doing, but we kind of have an idea of what they can and can't do. Nintendo's launching a console. They're going to save all the good stuff for themselves. So I don't know what to expect.
Right.
Save me, Square Enix.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have one or two like, ooh, that's like I feel like you're gonna have one or two, probably one really cool surprise, and I'm gonna have
it's
like
gonna
one.
Be probably from Devolver.
Yeah.
Like,
who's making the Last Ronin?
The Last Ronin. That was that a Bamco.
I don't know, like the Ninja Turtle Last Ronin, right?
Oh no, you're talking about the Last Ronin Ninja Turtles. I thought you were talking about the Last Ronin that came out on.
Oh,
PS5.
that's yeah. No, I'm talking about like there's supposed to be that dark Ninja Turtle game in development.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's Embracer. So don't hold
Oh
your
my god, you just completely deflated any kind of excitement I had going.
Yeah, it's THQ Nordic who's owned by Embracer. So good luck.
I have a little bit of faith with THQ Nordic. Do we? What was it? Like, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, like, based on you saying that. Like, didn't we get some kind of Darksiders teaser, like, a couple months ago?
We did. We got, like, a screenshot of, like, a background.
At this point in time, I would take Darksiders 1, like, super redone again for, like, the 4th time. But...
So, the people that are developing the Last Ronin, the Ninja Turtles game, are the devs behind the Destroy All Humans remakes. And that is the... last 3 things they made.
I never played those, but I heard really good things about them. People like them? Question mark?
They like the originals, and the remakes are like, hey, these are those games again. But I don't know what that means. Oh god, they made the Bubsy game in 2017. Dave, good fucking luck. They were like, let's bring Bubsy
all right,
back.
You tell me what you're excited about that you might see, and I'm going to go on Google and bust your bubble.
Honestly, what most likely will happen is what happened at E3 every time we went.
You're going to get another Danganronpa.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like some random RPG from like Sega or Atlas. But most likely what's going to happen is there'll be an indie game I'd never heard of and didn't know it existed. And then I'm going to be like, I want this game. This game will complete me.
Yeah.
Like that is probably
Cooking
what's
Utensils Brawler. Something like that.
Something. It's gonna be something random and artsy that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this game, and then like I'm never gonna be able to explain what this game is to Dave.
Microtransactions for branded handles for kitchen utensils.
It's just like you're like, give me a good Ninja Turtle game, or just give me a game that drops loot. That's like all you care about.
I mean, it's certain times like I don't know. Like there's like I just don't really know what I want. Like and there's certain studios that have carried the cachet of like, okay, you have my attention no matter what you make, you have my attention. And there's some that I get kind of surprised by, and then just I don't know. There's just
like if the Sea of Stars developers say
they got DLC
hey, we have a
coming,
new
so
game. Yeah. But, so here's the thing: since PlayStation's going to be there,
do we hear from what are they called? Guacamelee Studio. Nobody Saves the World. Drinkbox.
You know what? They're due.
Okay.
They are due. The Day of the Devs is the indie showcase that's happening after Summer Game Fest the same day. Perfect spot for Drinkbox Games to be like, hey, here's our next thing. Do you think though, Dave, that there's like a 5-minute spot in this showcase that PlayStation had to call up and tell Jeff Keighley like, hey Jeff, can you pull the 5 minutes of marathon from your presentation?
No, because I think Bungie likes to just they if anything there was another trailer like where they released
that's what I mean, like
or like a small trailer where they showed off another map or they showed up another class.
That's what I mean. Like, do you think there was a spot in here?
I think that's pulled. I'm expecting Marathon to be delayed. If there is anything, I could see potentially them bringing somebody on stage with Keighley to say, hey, based on feedback from our closed alpha. We need more. This needs more time in the oven.
If we get something from PlayStation that is just like a black screen with like some noise in the background and then it just flashes a logo of a game, just assume that was put together in response to them having to pull a marathon trailer.
Well, here I got a stumper question for you. Like, I know we kind of gone on a little tangent here.
Yeah.
Do we see or hear the game or the logo for Fair Games?
Nope. I think that gets pulled too. Like if
Okay.
Fair Games was in there, that's pulled. So like if we get like 1 to 2 half-assed PlayStation trailers, just assume those were rushed together because they had to pull Marathon and Fair Games. Most likely they had to pull a Marathon trailer. I feel like you wouldn't advertise Fair Games if you were going to advertise Marathon in the same presentation. But I would just imagine
Okay.
there was a call to Jeff Keighley.
Real quick,
to
because
pull
like I
stuff off.
just super quick rapid fire.
Yeah.
Just a yes or no. Do we hear from Sony Bend?
I could see that. I could see that.
You can't even follow instructions. So yes.
Yes.
Insomniac,
Yes.
Media Molecule,
No.
Naughty Dog,
No.
San Diego,
No, we never hear from them.
right? Blue Point,
No.
Gorilla,
Yes, maybe?
Haven,
Fuck no.
Santa Monica,
I want to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
Fire Sprite's gone, correct?
No, I think they're technically still around. I just
Okay.
don't think they're like a full studio anymore.
So no.
No.
Housemark.
Yes, I can see that.
Nixus software is the PC helper, right?
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
do originals.
I always say this wrong, but the GT studio, Polygamy.
Polyphony?
Polyphony.
Polygamy.
Yeah, shut up.
No.
Team
Especially after Forza.
Team Asobi.
I can see some Astrobot stuff. So yes, I
Okay.
could say that. That's like a maybe.
Bungie.
No.
Okay, Firewalks, who's gone, right?
They're gone.
Yeah. Valkyrie.
I think they're also a support studio, so no.
Okay. Sucker Punch.
Yes, I think that's a given. Yeah.
And
I said
then-
yes multiple times, and I know that's impossible.
I know,
because
because now I'm like, so you sit there and just said yes to 6 studios.
Yeah.
It's-
But I feel like of
that's
the
a,
6
that's a
studios,
state of
we'll
play.
get-
That would be a solid state of play.
that would be an amazing. That would be the greatest state of play
Yeah.
ever. I was just thinking of yes or no.
And
What's
Sony Santa
possible.
Monica's on here too.
Yeah, and I would say like I want to say
3,
yes to them
6,
too, but no.
9, 12, 15, 18, 19. They have 19 things.
Yeah. And I think realistically, only like 5 to 6 of those studios have something they can announce with a
And
trailer.
that means 2 or 3 we see.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But it would be just like who can put a trailer up first, and then maybe they pressure one studio to fill in for what they would have removed for Marathon.
I mean, we could do the same. I could just Google Microsoft owned studios. We could do the same thing, but like right now, like Microsoft studios are something is coming out every month. It could be a
Mhm.
remaster. It could be a third party or multi-platform thing, but they're releasing something every month.
Yeah. I can say for Microsoft, we'll probably see Fable. So something for Fable. I can see coming off the Forza sales being like, hey, we got a new trailer for the next Forza game. Hey, all the PlayStation people that joined us for the first time, we have a new one coming relatively quick. Dave's rapidly pulling up Microsoft Studios just so we can do it again.
Yeah. So I mean, like Arcane.
Blade, yes, they could if they wanted to.
Bethesda's just too broad of a brush. So Double
I
Fine.
would say no.
Yeah. Double
Double
Fine.
Fine, yes, it's been a while.
ID.
id, no,
Yeah.
they just released him.
Okay. The coalition.
Gears Remaster technically would probably fall under them. So yes, no.
Okay. Compulsive games. Or compulsion.
No,
I'm sorry.
I feel like they're a little far off now.
Okay. Gee, some of these names. In Exile. In
been a while.
INXILE. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I would say no.
Okay. Machine Gun Games. They just did Indiana, right?
Yes, so
Okay,
they're not
Mojang is
available.
Minecraft or whatever.
They do have an expansion for Indiana Jones that they sold, so they could
Okay,
do a trailer for the expansion. But
Ninja Theory's Hellblade, right?
yeah, and I think they're years away,
Yeah.
so no.
Obsidian.
They have the Outer Worlds is getting a special. When is Microsoft's little presentation?
Have they said
Hold on.
anything? I thought that you just
I thought they
listed.
did.
Oh, because we got Playground Games, we got Rare, ZeniMac. That's the publisher. There's a studio
Oh,
called Halo Studio or Halo Studios.
The Xbox game showcase is June 8th.
I didn't know that. When did they announce that?
I remember they announced it not too long ago. So yeah, that's Sunday, or not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Yeah, we're totally not recording
So-
next week.
Yeah, we're not recording next week, so we'll play this game
Yeah,
like
all right.
another time.
Not fair. Didn't have all the
Yeah.
didn't have all the data.
Yeah.
With that, I think I'm gonna end the show because I made myself look like an idiot.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. I'm like, dude, they announced a showcase, and they're doing an Outer Worlds showcase. But yeah,
To be
no.
fair, I rely on my coherent co-host to help me with this stuff. He has one job.
Hey, I thought about it, and I was like, hey, hold on, they are doing a showcase.
It's still an
so-
interesting game to play at the end of May and early June of like what you see, what you don't see, and you know like you forget about how much depth there is in there. Like those two combined are like 35 studios, Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
I think
I mean, like-
Microsoft's 26, so it might be
I-
over 40. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it showed 15 more. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. They show, I mean, like I see 24 listed
Yeah.
on here. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that was close.
so, so yeah, like that's 40 actually, because I think Sony owns like 16 now with, if you can count the auxiliary studios and everything. So, and that doesn't count like the couple of the studios that spun off, Toys for Bob, that are independent but used to be a Microsoft studio. Like,
I think we see Spyro next week,
yeah.
either at Summer Game Fest or at the Xbox Showcase.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely a cool time. You know, like it's always fun when there's potential game announcements or talking about games versus Studio ABC closed, Studio XYZ canceled their game and closed their studios. Like, I don't like talking about these things. They are good conversation, but I don't enjoy talking about them. I don't enjoy talking about people losing their jobs, games going away. We're never gonna know what a game of Concord could be. We're never gonna know what this Black Panther game could have been. Like, you know, like these are where these stories and these really cool creative ideas just go to die. And like this
Mhm.
could have been an awesome Black Panther script. Like super cool that would have like potentially unlocked, you know, fans of Black Panther for years, and it's just gone.
Yeah. Imagine being able to play as like a fully powered Black Panther. Like
Yeah.
that, like just the way he moves and like the ability, like this, man, that would have been a great.
Like just the Titanfall wall running ability in Black Panther, like just, you know, like
I just can't wait for like Marvel 1943 is going to come out, and then it's going to be like a point and click adventure game or something, and
Oh
people
my
are going to be like, "What the
God.
fuck?" Like I could see me being super into that, but Dave being like, "What is this shit?"
well, that was like Angela was like, she's like, I really wanted to watch you play 1943, and they canceled it. I'm like, that game didn't get canceled. I was at work, and then she's like, well, EA just. I was like, that's different. She's like,
Yeah. Or the Amy Hennig one is still coming.
Yeah.
Just like all the other Amy Hennig games.
until it's not. So, we're gonna skip playing and watching. Part again. I was out of town since last Thursday. I went up north for a memorial for my dad. All 22 members of my family were there. If you follow me on social media at all, you've seen some pictures and stuff like that. I got to see my grandson. He's 7 months old, almost 8 months old. My brother's my four nephews. They're, you know, they're a couple of their wives, their kids. So that was really cool. It was really just kind of great to just kind of disconnect, hang out with the family, memorialize my dad. It was his birthday on Monday. And it was on Memorial Day, and we were all able to just hang out and just, that was the first time probably in like 10 years that, you know, like everybody had been together. So that was a real, you know, a blast. Like I said, I purposely didn't take some things with me just to be on purpose disconnected. It was kind of nice. I don't even think that Michael and I really messaged at all.
No, probably not.
So, but yeah, like that was it. I've been, you know, a couple of my nephews are huge basketball fans. So there was some, either these playoff games are really good or they're really bad. There's no in between. Like they're like 30-point blowouts, or they're,
If it's the Pacers and Knicks, it's great. If it's the Wolves and the Thunder, it's not great. and the Thunder are blowing out the Wolves right now. So
Oh jeez. So, but yeah, like I don't really think did you have anything like brief that you wanted? Are you done with Last of Us?
Yeah, finish the show. We probably have to talk about that as a separate thing.
Okay.
I have feelings about it. I have started to replay the Last of Us series, so I'm starting with part 1. I just went on like not easy, but like the mode right before
Like
or right after
like
easy.
narrative or whatever. Yeah.
Something like that, because I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna do like a collectibles run. Don't want to
Yeah.
really worry about like combat. And then also I'm playing both games back to back, so it's going to be like,
Oof.
here's a 12 to 15 hour
Yeah.
game, and then here's like a 20 to 30 hour game. So I put it on like the narrative mode just to kind of enjoy that again. And just, I haven't played The Last of Us Part 1 since technically like the first game the weekend it came out. I did try replaying the remaster, but I don't think I ever finished it. You know, the remaster that was on 4, so I'm playing the remaster, and it's kind of nice going back to that horrible world. So doing that, I am still going through the Marvel Sega games from the PS3, playing Iron Man. Funny enough, with all the EA stuff going on, the first Iron Man kind of sucks. I couldn't use a DualShock 4 or a DualSense with it. It only could take input from the PS3 controller, which kind of sucks. I hope not all of the Sega games are like that, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
not even like an 8-bit Duo controller will work or anything.
It wouldn't take the analog controls. All the other buttons worked, but the analog sticks didn't, which is the first time I've run into that issue, because usually I could just Bluetooth a DualSense or DualShock 4 to it and it works. I might get a Brooks adapter, which will let me
I think
do that. But yeah, I'm going through that. I'm going to start Iron Man 2 soon. I'm trying to go in order, so I think I might have to do Incredible Hulk next. Those are all like 4 to 6 hour games back when PS3 games were overpriced and short. So
I think we're all feeding for decent price short games now.
Yeah, basically. That is pretty much all I've been doing, just kind of messing with that. Doing The Last of Us again. That game, even when you go on narrative mode, is still pretty intense because the atmosphere and
I'm trying to convince my daughter's fiance to play it. You know, just because he played the Uncharted, but he never played The Last of Us. I'm like, you gotta play it. So hopefully
you got it. It's so worth it.
Maybe I'll make that a prerequisite for him to marry my daughter in September, as he has to play and beat both of them. So
yeah, there you go. If you can protect Ellie, you can protect my daughter.
But yeah, like again, hashtag Ask Digital Days for the questions. Please, send us some stuff that you have questions of what you see from Summer Game Fest. We're probably, like I said, realistically, you're going to be listening to this on May 30th, May 29th, May 30th. We're probably not recording until June 9th. So, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like June.
Yeah,
June, like,
we might record Sunday night.
Yeah, June 8th, June 9th. So you're probably not listening to this until June 10th or the 11th. So over the next like 11 days, you're not listening to the other episode, not this one that you're listening to now. I know that.
The next 2-3 weeks release schedule is going to be a little weird, because then if we release early in 2 weeks,
so I would say just like make sure you have your notifications on, whether that's for our podcast or that's in Discord. We'll try to do a better job of sharing when the show is live in Discord. And then it'll just be if something crazy comes out of Game Fest, like Michael and I are not opposed to 20-minute, 30-minute shows, like on a late Friday night or something like that. So I would really recommend, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, podcast, or Discord, like somewhere in there you have your recommendations on, because these next 21 days could be a little weird. I would love to be honest with you, I don't want to, but I would love to make like 3 or 4 episodes in 21 days, even if they're like 40-minute episodes. That would be like awesome. And reasons to be like, we Michael watches something like, Dave, like, you got to get home, you got to watch this, we got to record. Like I miss those days, versus like, oh, okay, that was okay, let's see what the next one is. Okay, I think we can make an hour-long show out of 2 of these things. That's kind of where like Game Fest and E3-ish stuff has been lately. But hopefully there's some really cool stuff and some, just some awesome stuff. Like we're due for kind of a cool reveal from somebody. Like I feel like
somebody has to have one.
I feel like it's been a couple of years. Yeah. But yes, again, follow us on social media at Digital Days Pod, at the First MJC, at Good Dave Hunt, Facebook group, Discord server, and Patreon are all linked in the show notes. I hope everyone enjoyed your holiday in the States if you celebrated it. And let's just hope that we get some cool gaming stuff going into June. Hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. All right.
I feel like I've had to sneeze all show. All right, cool. Those of you hanging out in the Twitch chat and YouTube chat, thank you so much. I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I will talk to you all later. And thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great night.